When the snow is waist deep and the sun is dropping behind the ridge line, the forest changes. It stops being a playground and starts being a predator. In deep winter, your clothes are just the first line of defense. Your shelter is your life support system. But here's the brutal truth. Most people try to build summer shelters in winter conditions, and that is a recipe for hypothermia. Deep snow changes the physics of survival. It changes how you move, how you breathe, and how you retain heat. Today, I am not just showing you how to dig a hole. I am breaking down 10 military-grade and expert-level shelter blueprints specifically for deep snow. We are going to cover the thermodynamics of snow caves, the structural engineering of mounds, and the speed tactics for blizzard survival. You need to lock in and watch until the very end, because shelter number 10 is the ultimate grand finale. It is a technique that provides more heat than any other method on Earth, but it carries a hidden, invisible risk that is ended the journey of even experienced survivalists in their sleep. Let's get to work. Number 1, the Spruce trap modification. You have likely seen them while hiking those natural, snow-free wells at the base of large evergreen trees. The branches act like an umbrella, keeping the snow off the ground near the trunk. To a rookie, this looks like a ready-made hotel room, but here's the science of why this is dangerous. That area around the tree trunk is often filled with sugar snow, loose, stable granules that have no structural integrity. If you just crawl in there to sleep, your body heat can cause the surrounding walls of deep snow to collapse inward. It's called the Spruce trap for a reason. You can be buried inside, head first, in a confined space where you cannot leverage yourself out. The panic that sets in when the walls close in is primal. Here is the pro solution. You must reinforce before you enter. Do not trust the snow walls. Cut thick pine boughs and weave them into a structural wall around the perimeter of the hollow before you settle it. You are essentially building a basket inside the hole. This prevents the sugar snow from collapsing on your face while you sleep. Use nature's architecture, but reinforce it with your own engineering. Number 2, the Sintered Quinzee. This is often misunderstood. A Quinzee isn't just a pile of snow you dig into. It is a chemistry experiment. Most people pile up snow and immediately start digging. The result? The roof collapses on them within minutes. Here's the science. Snow crystals need time to bond. When you disturb snow by shoveling it, the crystals are jagged and loose. They need to undergo a process called sintering, where the tips of the crystals break down and bond together to form a solid lattice structure. The pro solution is patience. You must pile the snow at least 7 feet high, and then this is the hard part: you must wait. Do not touch it for exactly 90 minutes. In that hour and a half, the snow hardens into a dome stronger than concrete. Before you dig, push 12-inch sticks all over the dome to act as depth gauges when you dig from the inside. Stop when you see the end of a stick. This ensures your walls are perfectly uniform, preventing collapse. Number 3, the cold sink architecture. If you are digging a snow cave, the shape of the floor is more important than the roof. A flat floor is a fatal mistake. Why? Because cold air behaves exactly like water. It is dense, heavy, and it flows downhill. If your sleeping platform is on the same level as the entrance, the freezing air from outside will flow in and pool around your body all night long. You will never get warm, no matter how good your sleeping bag is. You will be sleeping in a literal pool of freezing fluid. The solution is to use physics to your advantage. You must dig a trench or a pit right at the entrance, significantly lower than where you plan to sleep. This is your cold sink. The heavy, freezing air will flow down into this pit and out of the shelter, while the lighter, warm air generated by your body rises and gets trapped in the upper sleeping chamber. It's a thermal lock. It's smart, but it's gentle compared to the raw, dangerous heat we are going to unleash in number 10. Number 4, the fighter trench. Sometimes you don't have 90 minutes for a Quinzee. A blizzard hits, whiteout conditions blind you, and the temperature drops 20 degrees in an hour. You need to survive now. The pain of exposure is immediate. Wind chill strips the heat layer from your skin in seconds. If you try to build a palace in a storm, you will freeze before the roof is on. The pro solution is the fighter trench. It's miserable, but it keeps you safe. Dig a trench just big enough for your body. Think of it as a coffin size. It needs to be narrow to minimize the airspace your body has to heat. Lay a tarp over the top and weigh it down with snow blocks on the edges. Crawl inside. It will be claustrophobic, and the wind will howl inches from your face, but you are out of the convective heat loss. This is for emergency survival, not comfort. Number 5, the thermal reflector wall. Let's say you have a tarp setup or an open front shelter with a fire. You feel warm on your front, but your back is freezing. Here is the thermodynamics. Fire releases radiant heat. If there is nothing behind the fire, 50% of that heat radiates out into the infinite forest and is lost forever. You are wasting half your fuel and half your energy. The sensation of being roasted on one side and frozen on the other prevents deep REM sleep. The pro solution is to build a massive U-shaped wall of snow blocks behind the fire. Snow is an incredible reflector of light and heat. By curving the wall around the fire, you bounce that radiant energy back into your shelter. You turn a small campfire into a directional heater. It's efficient and safe, unlike the shelter at number 10, which generates heat from the ground up but creates a gas that you can't see, smell, or taste until it's too late. Number 6, the hybrid frame. A fully enclosed snow cave is warm, but it can get damp. A tarp shelter is dry, but it's cold. The hybrid frame bridges the gap. The problem with deep snow is that digging all the way to the ground takes too much energy, and sleeping in a fully sealed snow box raises humidity. Your breath condenses on the walls and drips on you. The pro solution: set up your ridgepole and tarp like a standard frame, then pile snow halfway up the outside walls of the tarp. This creates a snow wall insulation for the bottom half of your shelter, where you sleep, protecting you from wind and conductive cooling. But you leave the top section of the tarp exposed. This allows the moisture from your breath to escape through the fabric or gaps, keeping your sleeping bag dry while your body stays protected by the snow walls. Number 7, the glazed interior. You've built a snow cave and it's warm inside. To warm, the ceiling starts to melt from your body heat. The sensory nightmare here is the Chinese water torture effect. If the ceiling is rough, with pick marks and bumps, the melting water will accumulate on those points and drip directly onto your face or sleeping bag at 3 a.m. Once your down sleeping bag gets wet, it loses its loft and its ability to keep you safe. The pro solution is glazing. Before you move in, take a gloved hand and rub the entire interior ceiling until it is perfectly smooth like glass. When the ceiling creates moisture, the water tension will cause the droplets to cling to the smooth surface and run down the curved walls into your cold sink, rather than dripping on your head. It's a detail that separates the pros from the amateurs. Number 8, the 45-degree entrance. You dig a tunnel into your shelter, but you make it straight. Big mistake. If the wind shifts, that straight tunnel acts like a wind scoop. It forces freezing air into your shelter and creates a Venturi effect, sucking all your warm air out. You will feel a constant icy draft cutting through your layers and you won't be able to stop it. The pro solution is the 45-degree or J-hook entrance. Never dig straight in. Dig your entrance tunnel at a sharp angle to the main chamber, or create a 90-degree turn inside the tunnel. This blocks the wind and spin drift from blowing in, and it creates a static airlock. It preserves your microclimate. You have to be precise with your angles here, just like you have to be precise with your ventilation in number 10. If you mess up the airflow in number 10, you don't just get cold, you don't wake up. Number 9, the insulation floor of the bed. You can have the best roof in the world, but the ground is your biggest enemy. The science is simple: conduction. The earth is massive and it is frozen. If you lie directly on the snow, even inside a sleeping bag, the ground will conduct heat away from your core until you match its temperature. You cannot heat the earth will freeze you. The pro solution is a mattress of pine boughs, but one layer isn't enough. You need loft. You need to stack pine boughs until the pile is knee-high. When you lay on it, it should compress to at least 8 inches of thickness. This creates dead air space between you and the snow. That air is your insulation. Do not stop gathering boughs until you think you have too many, then gather more. Number 10, the hot earth trench. This is the grand finale. This is the shelter that feels like a miracle but acts like a loaded gun. It's called the hot earth trench. Here is the concept. You dig a trench, build a massive hardwood fire inside it, and let it burn for hours until you have a thick, glowing bed of coals. Then, you cover those coals with about 6 inches of dirt or packed snow. You wait for the steam to stop, and you sleep right on top of that buried heat source. The sensation is incredible. It provides 8 hours of radiator-like heat rising from below. You can sleep in negative temperatures without a sleeping bag and feel warm. But here is the trap. This is chemically dangerous. Smoldering coals produce carbon monoxide. It is odorless and colorless. If the soil is too porous, or if you don't leave your head near fresh air, the gas can seep up through the ground. The symptom is that you just feel tired and go to sleep and you never wake up. This is a high-reward technique for extreme situations, but you must ensure your head is elevated and near a fresh air source. Never fully seal yourself in a hot earth trench. Deep snow demands respect, strategy, and physics. Master these 10 blueprints, and you turn the environment from an enemy into an asset. In the next video, we're diving deeper into advanced survival, skills and the psychology of isolation. Subscribe so you don't miss the intel. Get out there, build smart, and stay safe.